Someone scored.
Yeah,
Someone scored. Yeah.
Not in the playoffs.
Hey, man.
Welcome back to BT. Actually, Nylander's playoff stats were pretty good.
He's
I don't want to
good.
get mad at Nylander for that. Okay, so let's talk Leafs. And prior to this season, William Nylander's contract was the big story. Like, I remember Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick of 32 Thoughts, one of the best hockey podcasts out there. They're in Europe, and they sat down with him in Europe and made a ton of waves. All Nylander said was, I want to be a Leaf. Like, that's news around here. Like, people lose their mind. But the prevailing thought was, this is the last year of his contract, the most he would get was like $9.5 million per year. He's not going to make more than Mitch Marner. There's no way. So most people, that was the thought process. Yesterday, he signed a new deal. He's not making $9.5 million. He's making $11.5 million a year. It is the biggest contract by total value ever given out by the Toronto Maple Leafs. $92 million over 8 years. Austin Matthews will make more per season in his new deal, but his is shorter. Nylander's getting more money than anyone else in Leafs history. Through 37 games this season, he has earned it. He is tied with Connor McDavid for 5th in the league in scoring. He is on his way to a near 50-goal season. He has been the most consistent Leaf, bar none. That is not a debate. He's a talented player. He's approaching 30. These are his prime years. Now, there is one half of the fan base here, Mayor, that just wants William Nylander to stay, and they are not concerned with the price tag. In the National Hockey League, the price tag matters. Where do you and the rest of the dais stand on this massive commitment by Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment?
Well, I mean, I think you just said it. He's a top 5 scorer, and we pay top 5 scorers. I mean, those are big contracts. They've earned those big contracts, and so I think if the alternative was him leaving, that's not a look or a result that, frankly, the Leaf organization or fan base wanted to see. And so he's making a bunch of money and he's staying put. But I think a lot of people are probably very happy to hear that he's staying put.
They are. There is a math equation to all of this that is very relevant, though. And that's where a lot of people, listen, I'll get to my take here in a second, but I find this fascinating because there's a large portion of the fan base is like, we got him. But like, you got him when he was playing the best hockey of his career and you had to give the most. Was this a smart negotiation for the Leafs here, Debo? Do you not wait a bit, let the guy cool off? Like negotiating at a guy's highest point is never going to go your way, and it didn't go the Leafs' way here.
Yeah, you never want to buy high, obviously, if you're a business, but it's what the alternative is.
But didn't they have to? Sorry,
you have
didn't
to,
they have to
because
buy?
this is the season.
At this point?
They could have. See, here's
It's the final season. That's the thing.
It's the final season.
I thought it's not
You
that
let them walk
choose.
away or you pay.
Could they have waited till the spring, let's say, or
They could.
just let more of the season play out?
They could, to see more of a sample size of what's going on. But before I kind of throw in more, I did see something on X yesterday where somebody put out a statement saying the Leafs have no idea what they're doing.
Who was that, Debo?
Sid Sixero.
Who was that?
What do you mean by that?
I'll empty the tank. What do you want to add?
No,
I'll
I
empty
just
the
had a
tank.
couple of questions. So, number one, 9.5 versus like 11.5. I know $2 million is a lot of money, but I don't see the huge difference if it means that you are keeping him locked here. Like, there are no clauses where he can break this and
No,
go.
there's no exit.
Like,
No.
he is in.
And
he's in it to win.
He has a full no-move clause and no trade clause.
And that's
so
it.
even if
Yeah.
the Leafs want to, they need his permission for that.
Yeah,
FYI.
he's 27. He'll be
Yeah.
35-ish when
Yeah.
this deal ends.
And the Leafs have signed
Prime
worse
years.
contracts than that.
Yeah.
Like 35 of this, I'll give you that. 35 when this ends is not the worst thing.
My other question is, how would this affect the dynamic between Nylander and Mitch Marner? Now knowing that he is going to be will it affect the dynamic?
Well, you know what? It will, because those guys keep scoring that room. And I can tell you that on authority. Those guys because William Nylander was not going to sign for less than what Mitch Marner made. His price was $11.5. Elliot Friedman reported yesterday of Sportsnet, his price was $11.5 the whole time. He was not going to make less than Mitch Marner. That tells you a lot about where the priorities necessarily lie in the team. I'm not saying anyone's a bad guy, but the Leafs made a decision a while ago to throw everything at their top offensive players, and then you get into some murky waters. Then things get interesting. Now, the problem I have with this deal is now he has to perform at this level for a long time for you to justify this. And on top of that, next season, you have 9 roster spots to fill and $21 million against the cap to do that. You average that out, that's $2.3 million per player. You know what the best players in the NHL get? Not 2.3. You know what the next tier get? Not 2.3. You're lucky to get a third liner that matters at $2.3 million. On top of that, you need 3 defensemen and at least 2 goalies. This is too much to pay your stars and surround them with the talent they need to win a Stanley Cup. Something happened in this city where winning became not as important as keeping our guys. I don't know when that happened. I don't know why that happened, but that has spilled into executives, that has spilled into the fan base. The math doesn't work. Do you know what the MVPs in the National Hockey League have made the last 7 years? I did research. For the first time in 3 years on this show, I did research. Jonathan Marchessault, $5 million player for Vegas. Cale Makar, Colorado, $9 million. Andrei Vasilevsky, Tampa, $9.5 million. Victor Hedman, future Hall of Famer for Tampa, $7.8 million. Ryan O'Reilly with St. Louis, $7.5 million. Alexander Ovechkin, the year he won, $9.5 million. Sidney Crosby, back-to-back years, $8.7 million. The Leafs, by next year, have 4 guys making over 11. 4.
Inflation?
Does that make any inflation?
And also, I think too, we are still. I know we talked about this before. The Leafs as a franchise are the top valued franchise in the league. So we might not have won, but we've won in certain ways, and I think some of that win comes from keeping the players that people like and that are performing.
The uproar that happened, including yourself, when the move wasn't made to keep certain players here, like from the Raptors, the Kawhi situation, things like that. People are like, why wouldn't that happen? Why wouldn't that happen? That was an uproar that happened in a big way. If he walks and we lose a huge offensive piece of this franchise, what's the uproar then? Why didn't you keep them? Why didn't you try harder to spend the money to keep these guys? But the thing is also, when you look at some of these names, and I don't know if the research said that because I didn't do that as well, where in their contracts were they? Was it a contract year?
They were, to be fair, you're right. They were in different. No, well, none of them were contract years.
Right. And what year was it? Because now in 2024, the level of contracts and money that's being paid to these athletes is way higher, especially in hockey, than it was 10, 12, even 5 years ago.
True, but the reality of that cap still says you can't have all your guys making that money.
You're right.
You can't surround them with better. The Leafs have a 4th-string goalie in that. Notice that? They got a 4th-string goalie in that. How long is that going to last?
He's playing great.
He's playing fantastic. How long is that going to last? I'm just saying. Final point. Sorry, Kev. The Leafs never take any of these players, to the breaking point where they call their bluff. Ever. And he got everything he wanted in that deal. We'll see if it plays out. What do I know?